Well, those are a few hard acts to follow, but let me get us started. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Tanuja Randery. I have the privilege of leading Amazon Web Services EMEA business, but I have a greater privilege being here with you today. I think some of the brightest, most creative, and I know for a fact, learning-oriented minds in this room, together reimagining a future. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. I'm not going to talk to you about technology. You're going to hear about that all day. I'm going to talk to you about how you, as leaders, can unlock your AI mindset and why that is, if not the same, more important than technology alone. We have to start with imagination. We have to imagine a better world, a world not only for us, but for the next generation. A world where education will be available for everyone, where healthcare will be available for everyone, where manufacturing will completely rethink how they do supply chain and forecasting in the world that we live in today, where retail will be much more fun, more hyper-personalized, right? Where healthcare will have better drugs, faster drugs. We're all going to live 100+ years. And let me tell you, we need to live healthy, not just live older, right? So this is a world that we're going to be able to imagine together. And by the way, this is not something that we're dreaming about. This is something that's real now. This technology today, generative AI, is incredibly transformative. We pioneered the cloud, and we believe this is more transformative than the cloud alone, and it's also more transformative, potentially, than the internet. And the impact on society and business is going to astound us tremendously. $12 trillion of economic value to be unlocked through this technology for the world. And here's an interesting fact I learned from Gartner. More than 30% of enterprise applications would be powered by agentic and generative AI by 2028. And in the UK, in 2023 alone, 1.6% of the GDP was impacted positively as a result of cloud computing. And as I look around me, one business every minute in the UK is adopting AI. It has outpaced the uptake of the mobile phones since the 2000s. That's how tremendous this technology is. And by the way, it's not just what you think it's being used for. It's not just about cost and productivity and efficiency. It's actually being used to generate revenue. Over 90% of businesses are reporting actually an increase in revenue from this technology. And this is all about unlocking your AI mindset. Let me share with you two examples of those companies. Sunrise, a Belfast-based life sciences business. By the way, I think this is an area that is probably going to see the most breakthrough moments here. Sunrise are accelerating disease research. They're using this technology in AWS cloud to be able to bring, to accelerate by 50% They've reduced the cost of every experiment by almost £20,000, by the way, and their error rates, which you know are very important in this industry, have gone down by 80%. Now, that's really impactful. Train line. I mean, how many of you use this today? How many of you came into London on the train today? All right. Well, Trainline just launched their generative AI travel agent on Amazon Bedrock. This is important because it's going to be able to let you personalize your travel experience. It'll help you unblock the problems that you're going to face on trains, as we all do sometimes. But it's also going to help you figure out whether you should take your pet on the train today or not, and also figure out your resolutions, returns, and refunds. So two extremely different examples, by the way, both having significant impact. But this isn't about technology. It really isn't. There's a lot of that available out there. This is really about culture. It's about a culture of innovation. It's about skills, and you heard the Prime Minister talking about that this morning. And of course, it's also about the overall mindset that you bring to the table. So let me share with you 4 capabilities that I think are very, very important in terms of unlocking your AI mindset. The first, actually, I'm going to come back to this page afterwards. The first is about moving from being something that actually unlocks just some basic tools for you. I mean, I know chatbots are out there. They're helping people do homework and write poetry and do simple things. But the real thing here is to become a creative partner for you. So, for example, the Bundesliga is using AI to actually do content creation. And they've launched 400 automated pieces every single month, which frees up their team to be able to do the really quality things. That has also, by the way, resulted in doubling viewer engagement. Business reinvention. This one I get really excited about. Let me share something about Amazon. So we talk a lot about one-way doors and two-way doors. What are one-way doors? Well, it's a door you go through and you can't come back. And a two-way door is a door you go through, but you know you can reverse the trend. Why is that important? In both cases, the door is locked, right? And invention is about finding those doors and figuring out a way to unlock them. So this is really about thinking about your business, not applying the technology, something that's sort of on the side. Apply it to the core of what you do. Apply it to something that's needle moving, that will make real impact. Apply it so that you will not be disrupted, but that you will lead your industries. And let me give you an example. Olio, I don't know if you know Olio, small startup. That has come up with a new business model. They're enabling a community to take surplus goods and food that you might have in your refrigerator and being able to share with your neighbors. Take a few pictures of your food, put it on the Olio app, and guess what? Boom. We're more sustainable, we're not wasting, we're sharing, we're creating a community. That is business reinvention, and it's important that you apply to that. People-centric. AI is also being used to really help employee experience, which is really important, right? So I'll give you an example. Emirates Airlines in the UAE have launched a metaverse-based cabin training and onboarding tool. They call it Mira. It's exciting because when you join Emirates and you move to Dubai, you have no idea what this is like. This is all being done in a metaverse for employees, as an example. Clariant, a specialty chemicals manufacturer, launched something called Clarita, which is helping break down bureaucracy for their customers, for their employees. By the way, that's the one thing when you look at your connection scores or employee surveys, you will see bureaucracy is what is causing most of the pain points in an organization. So giving something to your organization that's going to help them work faster, work smarter, simplify their life is going to be very, very important. And Clarita does that. In Amazon, by the way, we use something called Amazon A to Z. And then finally, and Jensen talked about this earlier, as did the Prime Minister and Poppy, it's really important that we're thinking about AI responsibly. We have to innovate, we have to experiment. We don't want regulation that doesn't allow us to do that, but at the same time, we have to be protecting citizens' rights. And by the way, protecting your data. Your data is the most important thing here. If you've got your data on a core foundation that is secure, then you can experiment fearlessly. And that is what we are trying to do with Amazon, is ensure that we give you the choice of models to experiment with on the base of Amazon Bedrock without worrying where your data is, because your data is behind this platform. And so think very carefully when you think about that, and remember that AI governance is going to be very critical. Now, I'm going to back up a slide, because it was in the wrong place, and share something with you as well about our culture as Amazon and why that's important. The single biggest thing to unlock the 4 capabilities I mentioned earlier is something called the Y Q. And what is that? It's the Y quotient. People ask me, what skills are going to be so important in the AI age? Well, I tell you, it's going to be the skills we always knew. It's asking really, really good questions. It's asking the why question. Why does a customer experience that? Why can't I innovate myself through this? Why can't I do it faster? Why does it have to be done that way? Ask a gazillion questions. And that is what's going to help you work backwards from the business problem, from your customers' concerns, and be able to invent and be a leader in your space. That is what, when we reflect on our culture and what has brought us to where we have, that is the single thing that we think about. Now, a YQ is based on culture. And our leadership principles are our culture. They're not on a PowerPoint. We don't do PowerPoints. We only write documents, as you know, or many of you may know. And by the way, it's important. That culture, the leadership principles, are critical, whether that's learn and be curious, the learning agility mind, whether it's think big, the business reinvention mind, whether it's I write a lot. Leaders are write a lot. Leaders are disconfirming their beliefs at all times. And those are the things that you need to be put in place. That's what I encourage you to think deeply about, rather than just the technology alone. How do you operate as the world's largest startup? You operate by being customer obsessed. You always start with the customer. You don't bring technology to market for technology alone. How do you operate as the world's biggest startup? You're scrappy. You work frugally. You might have 11 people, for example, in Africa building your compute platform, right? You're owners. You purposefully reallocate resources to where it matters. And I encourage you again, don't get distracted with 1,000 experiments in AI. Pick the 3 or 4 things that really, really matter to your business and make sure that's where you're spending your time. Ferrari, for example, and who doesn't like Ferrari here in the audience, right? They have completely transformed the cost of their infrastructure by applying it directly in the core of their manufacturing, right? And redesigning their cars and their fan experiences. So don't have a funeral pyre of POCs, right? Because it's very, very easy to do that. Really focus on things that matter. And then finally, I will say you need people and talent with the skills and the desire to invent and reinvent with you. You need to make it easy for them to have the tools to be able to invent and reinvent. You need the broadest and deepest platform with the choice, security, and price performance that gives you all of that. And then, with all of that, you will be able to really transform not only your own companies and your cultures, I believe your own personal leadership style, and really grow into becoming the leaders and masters of AI. So that is indeed the Y culture and the 4 capabilities. Keep flicking through this. So how do we apply this at Amazon? Because it's important that we're not just talking about it, but we're actually building on this and applying it to ourselves. So when we think about generative AI innovations at Amazon, there are 2 that I want to talk to you about in particular. You obviously, of course, know about Rufus. This is our generative AI natural language LLM. By the way, across 35 categories, you can use Rufus very specifically for search. Rufus looks at its knowledge of product categories, combines that with what they know about what it finds out on the web, and gives you back tailored recommendations. The other thing I will tell you about is the AI-powered detection model. This is really important. Our Amazon Crime Counterfeit Unit, it's super, super important that we discuss this, protects your brand and your identity. So they're able to use and analyze the data using multimodal as well as really, really billions of data points being analyzed, and they're able to ensure that counterfeit products are removed from the site, and as well as fake reviews. 250 million fake reviews removed, and 15 million counterfeit products. This is important because as a seller, you want to be sure that you actually have that protection of your brand. All of this is, by the way, done and powered through AI. And then finally, optimized packaging. I talk about this because, of course, you all receive an Amazon product at your door daily, maybe 5 times a day. I'm sure if I did a show of hands, it would be everybody in this room, right? Getting packages delivered. Well, you care about the packaging. And I will tell you that we've been really looking at using AI to reduce and optimize the packaging that we do, with 446,000 metric tons of packaging. That's a lot in 2023 alone, decreased, right, by using AI. So again, the reason I share these examples with you is they are not small in terms of the value creation potential. They are significant in terms of the value creation potential. And finally, agents. How could I possibly finish this session without talking about agents? We are actually using agents, again, at the core of what we do, which is in our internal systems, by the way. Amazon Q is a software developer engine, which is allowing us to actually become much, much smarter about the way that we code. Releasing time of our software engineers, super, super important, giving them time back to really think strategically. We have saved 4,500 developer years and $260 million in annual savings just by using Amazon Q. And this is Amazon Q Developer. If you're in the business world and you're not a coder, there's Amazon Q Business. And what does that do? It sits on your data and allows you to do natural language querying so you can, in fact, very quickly access and understand what's happening in your business. Why did my sales of XYZ not do what it was supposed to do the other day? This is the impact that you can have. And you can refactor your codes. We're actually looking at some very old Java code, refactoring it, and migrate faster. If anyone tells you, by the way, that a mainframe cannot be migrated, it can be migrated faster than you thought it could be migrated with using agents. But of course, it's not enough for us to sit here and talk about AI mindset. You need to have infrastructure that will allow you to innovate. And we have been investing in the UK and highly committed to the UK from a very, very long time. We have invested very recently. We announced $8 billion of additional investment in the UK in AI and data center infrastructure, which is super, super important. It is going to create the potential of 14 million of economic value for the UK economy by 2028. And by the way, 14,000 full-time jobs to be created as a result of this investment that we're making. But you cannot stop on investing just on infrastructure. Skills are the biggest gap that people say they have. I am told that only 25% of businesses can find the digital skills they need. And unless we all lean into this, we are not going to bring more people into the digital economy. We're going to leave them behind, and we will not do the thing we want to do, which is democratize access to this technology around the world and to everybody out there. And so for that, we need to lean into skills. And this is why we're very proud to be part of the PM's focus on skills. And I would like to mention our Skills to Tech Job Alliance, which is there to create 100,000 new jobs here in the UK with AI in particular. We have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in training people around the world. We committed to training 29 million people, excuse me. I don't know where someone came up with that particular number. And we trained 31 million people ahead of our commitment. In the UK, we have already trained 1 million people. And I'm very excited that we're going to continue to do that because it is super important for us to provide the digital skills. So where's the future taking us? I think we are only scratching the surface of where we are today. I don't know how many of you know, but only 10% of workloads have actually moved to the cloud. And whilst we see this amazing acceleration, 30%, by the way, increase in AI usage just in the past year alone, if we can unleash this full potential, there's a phenomenal amount of value to be created. But in order to unleash this potential, we need to use the technology we have today. We need to power our AI mindset. We need to deal with having regulation that's innovation friendly. We need to create skills and democratize access to this technology. We need the venture capital funding that Jensen talked about earlier. It's very, very critical for our startups. We need government to be the role model in actually adopting this technology. And of course, we need agents. We need agents that will be able to autonomously work across workflows to help us improve, accelerate, augment, and improve our daily lives. I, for one, am convinced that this technology will only help our lives be better rather than taking it away. But we must operate responsibly and securely, and we must think about the future generations to come. I'm very excited to be part of this time when things are changing so rapidly, and I'm very excited that we at Amazon are so committed to this and to you and to the UK economy. I will just leave you with one last call to action as leaders. This is not a time to be slow. Speed is a leadership choice. And I think if there was a time, it is now to act very, very fast, act with your partners, think very carefully, and disrupt holistically. Thank you so much for being with me today and for letting me share these insights with you.